Something just broke inside Ferrari, and this time, it wasn't mechanical. It was trust. After a weekend that began in chaos and ended in humiliation, Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton have finally shattered the silence. No vague comments, no diplomatic responses, just raw, unfiltered truth. And it's devastating for the Scuderia. In Montreal, everything that's been simmering beneath the surface exploded. Strategy errors, pit wall confusion, drivers ignored in real time, and a team that seems completely disconnected from the race unfolding before them. But what turned this from a typical Ferrari misstep into a full-blown crisis was what happened after the checkered flag. Leclerc and Hamilton didn't just hint at problems, they called them out, publicly, and without restraint. And what they revealed, it's the clearest sign yet that the Ferrari project may be on the verge of collapse. Leclerc, blindsided by a tyre call he never approved. Hamilton, stunned to discover just how far off the pace he really was. Live, during the race, with no one giving him answers. These aren't small mistakes. They're massive breakdowns in communication and confidence. And now, for the first time, both of Ferrari's lead drivers are making it known. They no longer believe the people running their races know what they're doing. This isn't just post-race frustration. It's a warning shot, a line in the sand. Because when two of the best drivers in Formula One start dropping bombs on their own team's strategy, you know the situation is beyond damage control. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and don't move an inch. Because what you're about to hear might not only change your opinion about Ferrari's leadership, it could be the beginning of the end for the Hamilton-Leclerc. What happened at the Canadian Grand Prix was not just a race weekend gone wrong. It was the public unravelling of a team that's losing control, and two drivers who finally run out of patience. Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton didn't just endure another disappointing Sunday. They exposed, in real time and in full view of the world, the chaotic dysfunction that's become Ferrari's biggest weakness. From the very first session, Ferrari was stumbling. Leclerc's crash in FP1 meant they began the weekend blind on setup and grip evolution. Instead of recovering with smart decisions and sharp strategy, the team descended further into confusion. By the time qualifying arrived, the tension was thick. Leclerc was on a flyer when Hajar's red flag wrecked his lap. A tough break, yes, but not an uncommon one. What came after is what truly matters, because Sunday revealed something far more dangerous. Ferrari's strategic structure is crumbling from within. Let's begin with Charles Leclerc, a driver who's been patient for far too long. Around lap 30, while in the thick of turbulent air and still holding pace, he gave his team a clear message. The tyres were in good shape. No degradation, no need to pit. In fact, Leclerc saw an opportunity to stretch the stint, keep position, and execute a one-stop race that was playing right into their hands. But instead of listening, Ferrari overruled him. They pulled him in on the very next lap and bafflingly fitted another set of hard tyres. The reaction? Instant outrage. Leclerc's voice crackled over the radio with disbelief. Why did we box? The answer: we're on plan B, but Leclerc wasn't having it. I told you the tyres were good. That single moment, barely a few seconds long, captured something that's been building for years. This isn't just about ignoring a driver. It's about failing to evolve, about sticking to a spreadsheet when the reality on track demands instinct and flexibility. And for Leclerc, it was the final straw. That pit stop killed his race. The second set of hards didn't provide an advantage. It only buried him deeper in traffic, cost him track position, and erased any chance of recovery. Post-race, he made it clear. I thought one stop was doable. The degradation wasn't bad. I was confident I could manage. He admitted his own errors from earlier in the weekend. But that wasn't the story. The story was what came next. It's frustrating. We're making the same mistakes, again and again. The car isn't there, but the strategy, it's hurting us even more. And then came Hamilton. While his radio messages may have seemed quieter, the implications were far louder. Hamilton spent much of the race confused, questioning the behaviour of the car, asking where the grip had gone, and most alarmingly, asking, "Where did I lose 25 seconds?" That's not a rhetorical question. That's a driver completely disconnected from the race around him, while the pit wall sat silent, unable or unwilling to give him answers. After the race, Hamilton dropped the bombshell. "We're just not moving quick enough. Other teams are evolving. We're standing still. I've been asking for updates, and I don't know why we haven't brought any." That's not just frustration. That's a fundamental challenge to the leadership, but it didn't stop there. When asked about the team's internal structure, Hamilton delivered the clearest message yet. There are a lot of improvements that need to happen within the system. I can't say too much, but I wish I could. In Hamilton terms, that's a warning, one that echoes louder than any radio message. What makes this moment so damning is the alignment. Two drivers, one a Ferrari veteran, the other a 7-time champion and new to Maranello, both reaching the same conclusion. The strategy, the decision-making, the internal coordination, it's broken. And not just broken, it's dragging them down with it. You don't need to read between the lines. The message is out in the open. If Ferrari don't change the way they operate, they risk losing everything. Points, podiums, and maybe even the very drivers they've built this project around. Leclerc and Hamilton aren't just venting. They're issuing a call for reform, because if Ferrari can't even respond to live tyre feedback or keep their lead driver informed about basic race gaps, then no amount of car performance will save them. And now, the paddock is watching. Because this wasn't just a disappointing result. It was the most public and explosive sign yet that Ferrari is cracking from within. And the people calling it out are the ones they can least afford to lose. So don't blink, because this isn't the kind of drama that just fades away with the next race. What happened in Montreal has triggered a reckoning inside Ferrari, and the fallout is just beginning. Leclerc and Hamilton haven't simply criticised a poor strategy. They've detonated a truth bomb that lays bare the dysfunction at the very core of the Scuderia. This isn't about a slow pit stop or a mistimed tyre call. This is about two elite drivers realising that the system around them is no longer fit to compete, and saying so publicly, without filters or excuses. Charles Leclerc, once Ferrari's golden boy and loyal soldier, is now openly expressing doubt. Not just in the car, but in the very decision-making structure that's supposed to guide him to glory. And Lewis Hamilton, fresh off a historic move to Maranello, is already finding himself at odds with the culture, the pace of change, and the silence he's receiving when it matters most. These aren't just post-race frustrations. They're warning signs. Signs that the drivers are losing faith, that they've reached the limit of what they're willing to tolerate, that if Ferrari doesn't take radical, immediate action, it won't just be another season lost. It could be the beginning of a collapse from which there's no return. Because the truth is brutal. Other teams are evolving. Other pit walls are sharper, braver, more in tune with the realities of modern Formula One. And Ferrari, they're stuck in a loop, repeating the same mistakes, ignoring their drivers' instincts, and hoping history alone will carry them forward. But history won't save them now. If Ferrari wants to survive this storm, they must listen. Not to the headlines, not to the spin, but to the raw, honest frustration coming from the cockpits of their own cars. Because those voices, Leclerc's and Hamilton's, are the last warning bells before the whole structure comes crashing down. So, stick with us. Because what happens in the next chapter, how Ferrari responds or fails to, could be the turning point that rewrites everything we thought we knew about this team, this partnership, and this season.